Yes. Happy morning, everyone, and welcome to our book date with you session. The best book recommend to you. Today is the part three of this awesome book. Yes, The Gift from Dr. Edith Eger. If you miss out our part one and part two, please go to our previous episode to watch it because this is such a practical tools from the book that I want to highly recommend to you. Today, let's check it out, our chapter 9 to chapter 12, which is the last part of the book. Chapter 9, let me talk about first before I pass to Gideon. This book, this chapter, the best ever thing that I learned is there's a quote from Dr. Edith talking about this. You are going to be 50 anyway, or 30, or 60, or 90. So you might as well take a risk. Do something that you have never done before. Change is synonymous with growth. To grow, you have got to evolve instead of revolve. Wow, when I learned about this, it is such a great one. Whatever age you will be in is wow. It's like you will be there anyway. Why not do something for yourself right now? Right? So there is one part is talking about people when we want to take up some of the change. There is some fear. So Dr. Edith highlight about this is fear does not have to rule your life, and releasing the fear starts with you. So this Dr. Edith Eger, she really highlight a very important key point here is we are not born with fear. Somewhere along the way that we pick it up. Sometimes the fear that we pick it up from our grandparents, our parents, or even our spouse, that does not belongs to you. And if talking about this one, it's just like you don't have to carry it anymore. Just put it down, release your hold, leave it behind. So the practical tool, how you can do this is doing this. When fear comes with a panic storm, your body shakes and your heart races and the trauma that you already survived threatens to swallow you. Take your own precious hand and say, thank you, fear, for wanting to protect me. You are like talking to the fear. Get what I mean? Yes. Thank you, fear, for wanting to protect me. And then say this. That was then, and this is now. Keep repeating, say this again and again. That was then, and this is now. I will tell you that this is such a practical tool. When I do this, it's like you are telling the fear that you are experiencing right now, whatever fear that you learned last time from your previous experience or the fear that is from other people that you pick it up, that's back then. Right now is now. And then you already made it. Here you are. Wrap your arms around yourself and rub your own shoulders. That and tell yourself that I love you. You know, since we are young, we're not learning about how to have the own touch with ourselves. That is so profoundly I want to share with you. After I practice this, I can feel so much calmer when I have the fear. Yeah. So check it out. So in this same chapter, Dr. Edith also mentioned about how to eliminate those imprisoning phrases in your life and replacing it with some of the empowering phrase. For example, those phrases that is disempowering or even imprison you is called like I can't, I'm trying, I need to. You always can replace this with something like I can, I want, I'm willing, and I choose to. You, I believe that Gideon, you have been listening to me sometimes. I use this word. I need to. I have to. This word is really imprisoning me for a long time. When I intentionally shift the words that I use when I talk about whatever I do, that really helpful. So check this out. Simple and yet very easy and very effective for that. And the last part for this chapter 9 talking about is a lot of time we don't want to step up to make the change, it's not because we don't know what to do. We don't want to take up the risk. It's because we human, we scared and we fear of the uncertainty. Even though we know that how painful it is right now, but we choose to go for the stay in the pain rather than step up to something that is uncertain. That's the reason why sometimes the fear that really stops us. Beware of this. Check this out, more intentionally. So what Dr. Edith talked about is do a little bit, little by little. It's by what you do little by little on your own behalf that gives you the strength to move forward. That is all from the chapter 9 that I love it so much. I'll pass to Gideon to talk about chapter 10.
Chapter 10, okay. Chapter 10 is about how to get yourself away from prejudice or your bias or your stereotype thinking. How to get away from this prison. And to stop bigotry means you start with yourself. Bigotry actually means that you are very obstinate or unreasonably attached to a certain belief or opinion or affection because or prejudice against a person or a group of people because you are a membership of certain group or you always have been thinking this way. So you let go of a judgment. And in this book, the story that Dr. Edith talked about is, Dr. Edith is a survivor of the Holocaust for the death camp, and both of her parents is killed in the gas chamber. So when she meets someone in real life, that a white person that hates Jewish people so much that they want to kill the person, naturally she will feel angry at it initially. But when she think back, I should not have prejudice against that person. It doesn't mean that you agree with that person, but you let go of your judgment first and choose compassion. You hear the person first. Everyone have their stories. And when we live in the prison of judgment, we tend to judge people. We don't just victimize others. We victimize ourselves.
Yeah.
And freedom means that choosing every moment, whether we reach out our inner Nazi or our inner Gandhi. Gandhi means that you have compassion. We are born to love, okay? But we learn to hate. So you think about that. When baby was first born or first arrived to this world, it just no love. He don't know about this word about hate. But we learn slowly when we see other people hate each other. We see the world, hate each other. So we slowly learn about hate. And it's up to us whether you want hate or you want love. So Dr. Edith suggests that every time choose love, choose compassion. And another thing is about the best teacher we can meet in our life. And I quote the book, the most toxic, obnoxious people in our life can be our best teachers. So the next time you meet someone that is offends you or always make you angry, soften your eyes and tell yourself, human, no more, no less, human like me. That person are human. And then ask yourself, what are you here to teach me? This is real, I always, not always, sometimes I practice this because sometimes you can't avoid meeting toxic people in your life or in your work. You sure meet such people, but don't condemn them very quickly, but just think that what are they here to teach you, because they are the best teacher. If you are meet that people that always compliment you, don't make you think, they don't teach you anything. So what they teach me a lot about toxic people usually is how to build my patient, to be patient, to be servant, and then to see the other side of thinking, their perspective. I used to think that I used to hate that people who are very materialistic, who just like money. But you think about, if you see such people, you can think about how they become like this. Maybe it's their upbringing, or they always live in this environment, or they always in a hard bring upbringing. I mean, they are very poor, so they might not see what you see. So always give them some opportunity to hear their story first, and then when you hear that, then you don't have a lot of judgment on such people. So and the last thing is about this chapter is think about the legacy you want to pass on. I mean, we always in all these book sessions we talk a lot about the legacy you want to pass on. We can't choose what our ancestor did or what was done to them. Example, if your ancestor is German, and then we all know that Nazi from German, you can't choose. I mean, that your ancestor is German, or if your ancestor is from Poland and Polish, and you have been, your ancestor have been killed, have been cruelly treated by German. We can't choose that. I mean, we can't choose what our ancestor was getting at, but we can choose what to create and what to hand it down. Give the next generation something delicious, nourishing to build on. So I think this is more important than always keep dwelling on thinking about your past or history. What is has been done has been done. So this is about judgment. So yeah. So Joyce, I pass to you for next chapter.
So chapter 10, the title is called The Nazi in You.
Nazi, yeah.
It's a very short and a very, I would say, touching chapter for me too. So let's go for the chapter 11. It's more on hope. All right. Let's before talking about hope. I remember there's one sentence, one message, very important message that Dr. Edith's mom that teach her, share with her is just remember, no one can take away what you have put in your mind. No one can take away from what you put in your mind. So this has been really helpful to help Dr. Edith to survive in the Nazi camp. So this is really, really helpful because she keep reminding herself that that time it was a temporary, that it could be survived. And then hope is really a matter of life and death. So for you all, I know that since early of this year, I always talk about this word hope. So 1st of January, I go to the Bridge of Hope until even today, I still talk about hope. I think hope is so important for us. And Dr. Edith she highlights you have a choice. You can choose to give in or give up, or you could choose hope. And hope, choosing hope affects what get my attention every day. I repeat, this is such an important sentence that I really want to really put it to you and take a look at this. Choosing hope affects what gets my attention every day. It's like hope is not a distraction from darkness. Hope is a confrontation of the darkness. Even though you can't yet to see the light at the end of a tunnel, but you can choose the hope. And you can literally know what you can do every single day that gets your focus and your attention, that brings you slowly forward to the path that you are choosing to. That is the hope that Dr. Edith always mentioned about this. And choosing hope is to choose life. So this, I remember this sentence, I think also in the book of the choice, right? This sentence is in the book of the choice. And there's one big thing that I want to suggest to you that you can always ask yourself is, set up a time. This is directly from Dr. Edith, this book. Set a time for 10 minutes and make a list. There's many things that you can think of that are better now than they were 5 years ago about yourself. So I make a list. It's a whoa, so many things that I'm improving myself since 5 years ago. 5 years ago is like 2017. That time back then, I just start what I'm doing right now, and I totally blur about how to be show up in the video. It's like, oh, when I look back on my first video, how much improvement I made. And in life, I become more patient compared to previous me. All this thing, the improvement little by little is what you do little by little every single day that matters. So I encourage you to go to make a full list for yourself too. So now we go to the last chapter.
The last chapter is about forgiveness. Whether you forgive yourself or you forgive others. I quote the book, I don't have the godly power to anoint anyone with forgiveness, but I have the power to free myself. Forgiveness isn't something we do for the person who is hurting us. It's something we do for ourselves. So we no longer victims or prisoner of the past, so we can stop carrying a burden that harbors nothing but pain. I think a lot of people think about forgiveness is about to forgive the other person. But actually forgiveness is about yourself. Try not to hold something to yourself or not to hurt yourself. Okay, so forgive doesn't mean that we agree, we condone that what that person is doing, but just let go of yourself. So as long as you can forgive someone, as long as you can't forgive someone, you are actually spending energy against rather than being for yourself and the life you deserve. So this sentence actually talk about if you can't forgive someone, you actually spend a lot of negative energy inside yourself, and it's just for yourself. It doesn't impact the other person. Okay? And to forgive isn't to give someone permission to keep hurting you, because it's not okay that you will harm, but it's already done. So no one but you can heal the wound. Your life doesn't depend on what you get or don't get from someone else. So it's the same thing actually. When I think about this, forgiveness, even happiness is the same. You don't depend on other people to approve for you to be happy. So a lot of people like to share things in social media or something, so that people say, oh, you have a good life. But actually, you don't need people approval to be happy. You just get happy yourself, right? So same thing for forgiveness. You don't depend on what you get or don't get from someone. The forgiveness, you forgive yourself and you forgive someone. Your life is your own thing. So are you ready to give the person the gift of my forgiveness? So I think this is a very good chapter about forgiveness. And I think a lot of people in this life, they can't forgive themselves because, for Dr. Igif is because she's the very few survivor. And some people can't forgive themselves because they were thinking why I survived while others pass away or being killed. So you have to forgive yourself and live a life, And then if other people did something harm to you, can you forgive them? And forgive them means let yourself go. I think this is why I've been talking a lot about forgiveness, because Dr. Iggy had been such a brave survivor. Yeah, after that camp.
This book, there's 12 chapters.
Yeah.
Each of the chapters actually stand alone, meaning that you can read from chapter 12, then you can just go forward until chapter 1. There is no sequence that you must read from chapter 1 to chapter 12. So it's highly, highly recommend to you to get this book into your hands or give this book as a gift to your friends during their birthday or wherever, that really, really can save their life, because there's 12 lessons that really, really very practical and helpful to save our lives. And thank you so much. And let me and Gideon know what is your aha moment that you listen from this episode.